Hi, hello, welcome. We have a very brief moment where the house is quiet. So, May 2020 TBR. Last month I did a Shop My Shelves video, which is where I use prompts submitted by you folks from Instagram, and I search my shelf, do a little scavenger hunt, like to sort of narrow down my TBR, which is a little bit overwhelming. I still have quite a few books from last month that I want to get to. Even though I did like a pretty good chunk of that TBR, I still have The Witch of Winter, The Year of the Flood, Infinity Sun, Company Town, Midnight Robber, The Letter for the King, A Record of a Spaceborne Few, Deathless, The Bird's Nest, and Wildwood from last month's TBR. If you want to hear about those, I will leave a link to last month's TBR above. And I'm also adding a few. So there are 3 that I know I have to read. So this Friday, the Goblet of Fire reading vlog is due. Therefore, this has to be done by Thursday. So I have to read Goblet of Fire, not only this month, but this week. Then on May 15th, I'm hosting the last live show as part of the first arc of the Red Rum Book Club, and the third of 3 live shows for The Stand by Stephen King. So I have this little chunk of the novel to read over the next 2 weeks and research and put together notes for. So I have to have this read as well. The next thing that I probably should read but have read before, both of these are rereads, and they are Briar Rose by Jane Yolen and The Boy in the Striped Pajamas by John Boyne. So this month I am looking at Death Eaters as Nazis and how we teach children about historical traumas, and I am interviewing a friend about that topic. She doesn't read Holocaust literature, which is fine, because that's like her historical background. Those are her family roots, so it's totally fair not to want to read this. I'm going to interview her, but then I'm also thinking about an episode looking at these texts specifically, both of which use storytelling and like fiction for young people in different ways to teach about, or maybe not to teach about, a historical trauma. So I should probably read both of these. If I only have time to read one, it's going to be Briar Rose by Jane Yolen. Just quickly, Jane Yolen's Briar Rose is using the Sleeping Beauty fairy tale as a framework for a atrocity done to some Jewish humans during World War II. The Boy in the Striped Pajamas is the story of a German child who is living very close to Auschwitz. His father is the commandant of Auschwitz. Commandant, or a big head honcho man. And he forms a friend with a boy in striped pajamas on the other side of the fence. It's fantasy literature in many ways, and like a bizarre sort of fever dream mess. It's a book that seems to be aiming to teach about the Holocaust to an already informed reader. Then we get into the books that I should read. The first of which is If It Bleeds by Stephen King. I've put the dust jacket somewhere. If It Bleeds is the new Stephen King. There are 4 stories in here. I did pre-order it. I should read the things that I pre-order before they come out in paperback. That is my goal for myself, is if I have pre-ordered something, I need to read it ASAP. If It Bleeds, I literally know nothing about. Other than that, it's the new Stephen King, and I kind of want to keep it that way. Like, I like having no expectations with King's newer works, because I feel like so much of his older works have been hyped up in my mind. Like, I'm already going to them with a certain amount of hype and expectation. And then I'm going to read, oh, this is covered in Lysol. This did not like being Lysol'd. I'm gonna read The Fireman by Joe Hill with my patrons. So as a buffer and sort of like a palate cleanse between the first chapter of the Red Rum Book Club and chapter 2, we are going to be reading The Fireman, which is often compared to The Stand by Stephen King. It's another apocalypse novel. I don't know, but oh no, another plague novel. Appropriately timed for many reasons, like current global situation and also that we've just come off the stand. So it'll be interesting to compare two novels that often get compared for myself, and it will be interesting to discuss it with my patrons. I'm going to start reading this in the last 2 weeks of May, and then we have all of June to read it. I do want to get started on this so I can start like thinking about it while the stand is still fresh in my mind. So The Fireman, just quickly, is about a new plague striking cities one by one. Dragon scale is a highly contagious, deadly spore that marks its hosts with beautiful black and gold marks across their bodies before causing them to burst into flames. Wow. That escalated quickly. Millions are infected, blazes erupt everywhere, there is no cure, no one is safe. All right. Maybe it would have been better if I didn't read the back. I have two here that I probably won't get to, but I want to put on my list anyway. The first one is Abortion by Garth Nix. So this is the third book in the Old Kingdom. Is it a series now? I think it was the Old Kingdom trilogy when it started, but it's a series, right? There's still books coming out in it. So I did just finish Lyrial, and I was warned to make sure that I had a copy of Abortion on hand because it goes like right from one into the other. To be honest, if I didn't have a couple of things that like I was obliged to finish in like the next few days, I would definitely be here. This is also pretty high on my list for May. Abortion is the third in a trilogy, and I feel like I really can't tell you about what this is specifically, but the first book follows Sabriel. She's a young woman who has recently stepped into the role of Abortion. Abortions have the ability to use magic and take these sort of dead creatures that creep their way out into the land of the living and push them back into the depths of the dead. It involves a little bit of necromancy, a lot of death, a lot of dead bodies, animated corpses, zombies. It's fantasy and it's dark and like it's up my alley in many ways. I have Middle Game by Seanan Mcguire. So I have read the Wayward children books by Seanan Mcguire. This is something completely different, but I'm curious. And so this says, meet Roger, skilled with words, languages come easily to him. He instinctively understands how the world works through the power of story. Meet Dodger, his twin. Numbers are her world, her obsession, her everything. All she understands, she does through the power of math. Roger and Dodger aren't exactly human, though they don't realize it. They aren't exactly gods either. Not entirely. Not yet. Meet Reed, skills in the alchemical arts like his oh god. Reed created Dodger and her brother. He is not their father, not quite, but he has a plan to raise the twins to the highest power, to ascend with them and claim their authority as his own. Godhood is attainable. Pray it isn't attained. It is not attained. There we go. And it's apparently one of the best 30 novels of the decade. Excited for this. I also have a whole boatload of poetry collections from Brick Books. Brick Books is a small Canadian poetry publisher. They are based out of London, Ontario. I did my undergraduate degree in London, and Kitty from Brick Books came into one of my CanLit classes and talked a little bit about what she does in the Canadian poetry scene, and I have had a soft place in my heart for Brick Books ever since. I have ordered from them before. I love the work that they produce, and so they put out this mystery box on their website of backlisted titles. So from 2018 and back, it was $30 for a box of 50 books. And so I have a beautiful little stack of poetry that I would like to explore this month. What I ended up doing was, you can't really get the full effect of the stack. I ended up going through the stack. It's a mystery box of backlisted titles. There are 50 of them, okay? I stacked them by the most aesthetically pleasing cover designs to the things that appeal to me least. I think I'm gonna try and tackle these four first. So these four are of a different finish. They are like an unlaminated cardstock finish. They're all in this same like natural paper or soft sort of pastel-y vibes, and like I literally know nothing about them, but these are the ones that I am drawn to. And so I have Full Spring by Darren Bifford, Reunion by Deanna Young, Songs for Relinquishing the Earth by Jan Zwicky, and Placeholder by Charmaine Cadeau. So these are the ones that I'm sort of interested in prioritizing, and then I just plan on sort of working my way through these. Like it's poetry, they're quick. Instead of scrolling through Instagram, if I find myself sitting here, I could be like, oh yes, let's just grab a beautiful poetry collection and start reading. What else do I have to say? Oh, I will leave a link to Brick Books in the description box down below. I'm not sponsored, I'm not being paid or compensated in any way to shout them out. I love what they do. For me, it is local. It feels local because I lived there. And so I did purchase the mystery box, which was with my own money, but I am linking them down below because if you happen to be an Ontarian, if you happen to be local or relatively local and you're interested in poetry, I would recommend supporting local, especially at this time. Thank you all so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on the books that I've mentioned here. Again, another ambitious TBR, but who knows when we're gonna get to go back to work, so it seems like I have the time to be ambitious. Thank you patrons for making videos like this and long-form projects like Lumos possible. I really appreciate the work that you enable me to do. If you are interested in becoming a patron and supporting the channel, links to the Patreon page are in the description box down below. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're staying safe. I'll see you soon. Bye!